It is 5:19 at KPL. John, we're actually early for something. I don't know how that happened, but here we are, you know.
It must be excitement in the air.
Must be the excitement in the air. So this morning, I found out about this, I don't know what the heck you want to call it, malware, virus, or whatever, but somebody's going to set us straight about that.
Ransomware.
Yeah, ransomware. It sounds like some kind of underwear, you know.
See, I was thinking of something different. I was actually thinking of like a new type of container to store, you know, like old potato salad in, like Tupperware.
Yeah, body parts, things like that. Well, anyway, our guest today is Reagan Brock, and Reagan is a white hat hacker. And I've always, you know, wondered what the heck you did, but now I have some idea of what you do. And the reason we're talking about this is because I saw this. It's a big Adobe issue. Adobe has issued an emergency update to Flash after ransomware attacks, and this is a worldwide problem they're facing, right?
Right. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And this is going to affect any of the Adobe Flash systems, and there's Adobe Flash in over 1 billion devices worldwide. Ooh. And this is not just a Windows. It's Windows, Mac, Chrome, tablets. Everything that uses Adobe Flash can be affected by this system. And what it is ransomware is a nasty little encryption bug that gets onto your machine. It's not exactly viral. What it does is it uses a loophole in your system. Your system allows you to encrypt stuff. That's by nature. It's security.
Right.
So what happens is it utilizes that loophole, goes in and says, well, I'm going to encrypt all your stuff for you, just not give you the code. So now you can see all your files. You just can't do anything with them.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now what happens is after it's done wreaking havoc and having its little party, what it does, it pops up a screen and says, oh, by the way, everything's been encrypted. Pay me in Bitcoins, or $500 basically, and says, I'll give you the code back. Well, 25-50% of the time, that won't work because they're already starting to be shut down, so you won't get it back. So you might have dumped that $500 into the cloud for nothing. Whew. So you're kind of at a loss situation there. The best thing you can do is back up. Just get your stuff backed up in the cloud, multiple backups, because recovery is really the best way to get back from this kind of thing.
Okay, so on my Mac at home, I'm using a backup, backup time machine
or something.
I've got that backed up, so in theory, I should be good, correct?
If you're backing up to the cloud and you have multiple days backed up, you can revert back to a previous day and pull that in. But if your backups are local, especially this new one, this little booger is called Cerber, and this thing not only tears through your computer. If you are attached to a server, it rips through all of that. Then it searches through all the public folders on the network and tears through all of those as well. When it's done, it comes up, and this one's different. This one's different than the ones we've seen before because this one not only talks to you when it's done, it actively gives you an audio cue that says, hey, you've been infected. This one comes through what's called a 0-day infection. And what that means is 0-day penetration. Adobe did not know that this hole existed. So hackers found this hole and utilized it to push this through Flash banners and Flash ads and things of that nature on websites. Normally, they come through email. You've seen those zip files that come through click on this link for my $1 million. That's normally how they've been coming through. This one, they're pushing it through these Flash vulnerabilities. And I have had customers that have gotten this that are very well versed in what not to click on, and they got infected. It ripped through the whole network in 45 minutes.
Wow, that's flat scary. That really. So my backup there on the time machine doesn't really do me any good.
If you're taking the time machine backup and it's all local, probably not. You want to get some of that stuff pushed to the cloud. Carbonite, Mozy Pro, SkyVault, things of that nature that are an extra service will help you get that stuff out and into the cloud and give you that redundancy that you need to be able to fall back on.
Why do I think that the people who invented this virus work for companies like Carbonite?
Yeah.
I would love to agree with you there, John.
I mean, somebody's making money off this. Nobody just does it just for the sake of doing it.
That's correct, which makes this so much more dangerous than anything we've seen before. This can be bought on the deep web for $3 or $4 grand a piece. And what happens is people go in the deep web, buy these things, unleash them, and they just sit back and wait for money to come in because they put in a little bit of information and it comes in. The reason why this is so dangerous is because hackers originally had to build it, release it into a vulnerability. This one, you're giving a bunch of monkeys loaded guns, and they're just going out there and shooting whatever they want. Wow. And that is the danger behind these.
Are you more susceptible if you access things like the deep web or Tor sites than if you're not.
You're more susceptible to worse things if you go on to Tor and web and deep web stuff than you might even think, including having your entire identity stolen, things of that nature. If you don't know how you're perusing that, stay off of it. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of stuff that can hurt you otherwise.
524 KPEL, we're speaking with Reagan Brock, who is a technology guy beyond belief. He's what's called a certified white hat hacker, and he's telling us about this thing that's affected Adobe. Now, Adobe is not some shyster company that doesn't have a lot of backup and a lot of people. So this is a major, major company being, like you said, just basically their product was taken over,
Well, it was a hole. And the thing is, they were warned. Trend Micro actually warned them in advance saying, hey, we're seeing some of these vulnerabilities being utilized. It's just that the guys that released this Cerber encryption bug utilized it and used, like I said, a 0-day infection. They just jumped on it, forcing Adobe to actually respond to it and create a patch, which they did release last night. But I would still suggest kind of patching Adobe every day. Now, if you're going to do it, you don't necessarily have to do it through the automation. I almost always suggest you go to get.adobe.com/flash player. That is get.adobe.com/flash player. It will allow you to install it from the site, not from any automation, because a lot of people are twitchy about that. Update Flash Player now, and then you got infected. Because there were fake ones for a long time. There were fake Flash Player updates. Do it naturally. Go to the site. Get it the way you should be getting it, and it will update. But I do suggest updating it now, and then next week after they fine-tune some patches, do it about Thursday again just to make sure. So,
this thing about Carbonite, I thought it was a great idea. First time I heard Kim Commando talk about it. I do a lot of photography, and I do a lot of audio work. Well, I did the Carbonite backup, and 3 weeks in, it still wasn't through backing up my stuff. So I'm like, well, what the heck, man? If I need it, first off, they're not through with it. And let's say it finishes after a month. How long is it going to take me to get that information?
That has been part of the problem, too. Part of the problem is the Carbonite's returns have been kind of throttled down. It took us almost 6 weeks to get a backup of somebody's PC one time.
Right.
While it is a good system, it actually is almost counterintuitive with bugs like these, because what happens is, and here's why, the home systems are backing up as you go. Well, a lot of the home Carbonite systems don't have that redundancy over days. So what happens is that they are getting all of these new encrypted files are immediately dumping up. As soon as they become encrypted, thereby messing up your entire backup. Now you'll have to call Carbonite and say, hey, I'm infected. Help me find out when. And they have to work back, and you basically have to restore everything. So one of the benefits, especially in small businesses and medium businesses, are using a local storage appliance, some backup drive.
Right.
Things back up onto there, and then they synchronize into the cloud. It gives you the ability to back up from the cloud for disaster recovery, but back up from a local device for small things. We recovered a server the other day that got nailed by something like this, 30 minutes, and we had the server back up on online.
Right.
Because we had that local drive with a sync into the cloud. So it really is kind of a balancing act right now, but I can promise you from what we've seen, all the trends point to this kind of stuff becoming more and more prevalent in the next few years, to the point where it's going to be all over. And if antivirus companies don't jump on it and start making some more stuff for it, we're going to see a lot more problems.
527 KPEL. We got time for maybe one more question. John, go ahead.
I guess one of the things too, when you mentioned that you had to pay for this through the use of Bitcoin, it almost sounds like there is a deeper, more sinister group of people behind this, other than just taking sort of simple payment. Because Bitcoin, once it's done, there's no tracking it down.
Right. Well, in the Cerber, a lot of these are coming out of Russia and Russia black market. Well, this one specifically, if you dig in it, there's places that if you are in a certain country code, Azerbaijan, Ukraine, any of these areas in there, it will not infect anything.
Yeah.
It specifically only targets anything outside of those countries.
Yeah.
And we should mention, we're talking about this thing, it's called Cerber, Cerber. It's not server like CS.
Or Gerber, so it's not baby food.
No, it's not. All right, so in closing, what should we do if we even think we've got this problem? Should we contact a local person to do some work?
The main issue that you're going to have at the beginning is that you're not going to know you have it. There's no indicator that you have it. All of a sudden, your machine may start running a little slowly, but all of a sudden you'll see files in odd places that are going to be misnamed or strange names. If you happen upon that, immediately turn the machine off. Call your local IT, company, your Doghouse is your Silverwolf, somebody like that. Call them and say, hey, something's weird. This is happening. Your best bet right now, and what I've been pushing to all of my customers, your best bet is preventative. Get a good backup system. Get it where you have multiple days retention that you can fall back on any one of those days and pull that information back.
Wow. This is flat scary. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Yep. Thank you so much.
We appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Reagan, thanks, and scaring the heck out of me. When he was talking about you've got something going on and you don't even know it yet, John, I said, it sounds like definition of some sexually transmitted diseases, I lost them both on that one. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back.